Welcome to Phase 3. In Phase 3 of our study, Understanding the Church, we're going to deal with the question, what is a Southern Baptist? Addressing Southern Baptist life and work. Believe it or not, a Southern Baptist church is not a Baptist church located in the South. Rather, a Southern Baptist church is a Baptist church that has chosen to associate itself with other churches through the Southern Baptist Convention. These churches do not generally associate on the grounds of doctrine, location, or financial influence. Instead, these churches associate for the purpose of missions and education. Southern Baptist life and work exists in four forms: the local church, the local association, the state convention, and the Southern Baptist Convention. These serve as outlets for disciples of Christ to fulfill the Great Commission of Matthew 28:18 through 20. An examination of these four forms provides an understanding of their function and purpose within the convention. Matthew chapter 16 verses 17 and 18 allows us to hear Jesus state that He would build His church. Jesus did not come to build denominations or parachurch ministries. Jesus came to establish His church, and the gates of hell will not overpower that church. Jesus established the church through His work and for His purpose. As a result, the local church is the established institution of God and His work on the earth. As the institution of God and His work on the earth, the church stands totally free from outside pressure. Each individual church stands apart from all other churches and organizations. The only influence that is exerted over a single church is that which the church allows. In some churches, that means they've allowed themselves to come under the umbrella of a denomination. In other churches, they choose to stand totally apart from all other outside groups. In Southern Baptist life and work, each church remains completely independent of outside authority. This is because of a key Baptist belief. The priesthood of the believer is the foundation for all that a Southern Baptist does. John chapter 16 verses 20 through 24 states that after the death of Christ, His disciples would stop seeking guidance directly from human Jesus, and that they would find guidance from the Father through Jesus Christ and His work. No longer would there be a barrier of sin between man and God, but to those who believe in Jesus Christ there is access. Matthew 27:51 recalls that at the death of Jesus, the curtain in the sanctuary was torn in two, further illustrating that Jesus had provided access to God through His death to those who believed. Since each believer is able to go to God and to hear from God, each believer is equal in the eyes of God. There is no person who stands above another person with regard to authority in the kingdom. As a result, all church members are of equal authority and importance before God. Thus, each church has the right to determine the will of God for themselves. Consequently, each church is responsible for determining the will of God for their congregation with regard to the work and purpose of Jesus Christ in their community and for their congregation. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 12 through 31, records Paul explaining to the Corinthians that their church is made up of many different parts, but only one body. The church could not function without the diversity within its congregation. An expansion of this principle is that no single church in a community can accomplish all that is necessary to make disciples of everyone there. The local association is a fellowship of churches who work together for the purpose of missions and education within a geographic area to aid in the disciple-making process. The love of believers for each other provides a basis for this efforts, and local churches working together to accomplish what they cannot do on their own is the foundation for an association. Each church provides financial support for the work of the association to enable the ministry to take place. Ministries such as church construction, food pantries, clothes closets, counseling centers, and training centers for leaders are all examples of how a local association can provide ministry in a community. This effort does not replace the work of the local congregation, but rather it is an extension of the local church ministry through partnership. Whether the ministry is training for making disciples or is an outreach for obtaining new disciples, the association provides a ministry outpost for cooperation. Think for a moment about what some of the ministries your local association might be providing, but also think of what are some ministries that a local association may be able to provide in your community. After the local association, we have state conventions. No church is able to do all that is necessary to make disciples of its community, and no association is able to provide all the ministry avenues necessary to reach an entire state or region. The state convention serves as an association of churches working together to make disciples. This isn't a hierarchy. You don't have church, association, state convention. What you have is a church that is associated with its association, and a church that is associated with its state convention, and a church that is associated with the national convention. But it all starts as an extension of the local church. The state convention serves as a resource for missions and educations to regions and associations across its state or area of service. It also serves as an evangelistic strategist for unreached areas within that state or area of service also. By evaluating needs and designating resources, the state convention provides the local church with the opportunity to make disciples all across the state. Ministries such as church planting, health and dental fairs, leadership training and development, church revitalization, and disaster relief are all examples of state convention disciple-making efforts. Think for just a few moments about some of the ministries your state convention provides or helps to provide, and then think, what are some other areas of ministry the state convention might be able to help you in your local church setting with? The third and final phase of Southern Baptist life and work is the National Convention. And it serves as a larger extension of what a state convention does. No state convention is capable of reaching the entire United States or the world with the gospel. As a result, the Southern Baptist Convention works to extend the influence of the local church across the globe. This influence is reflected in the purpose to reach people for the purpose of making disciples and to train leaders to make disciples in their local context. This is accomplished through the work of the International Mission Board, the North American Mission Board, and through the 6 Southern Baptist seminaries in the United States. These mission boards prepare missionaries for the field and provide the opportunity to make disciples around the world. Whether the person is a church planter in Wyoming or an English teacher in Indonesia, the cooperative efforts of the local church have provided them to be there. Every Southern Baptist who attends a Southern Baptist seminary receives a scholarship funded by the efforts of the local church. Every missionary on the field and every seminary graduate is directly tied to each individual local church and serves as an extension of that local church's ministry. Each year, churches send messengers to the Southern Baptist Convention to handle the annual business of the convention. The convention's executive committee, who are elected at the annual convention, handles the day-to-day activity of the convention. This meeting also provides for the election of the convention's officers. Everything is decided by vote of the membership, which is made up of local members of local churches. Once again, this demonstrates that the National Convention, just like all other Southern Baptist ministries, is simply an extension of the local church. Think for a moment about what some of the ministries of the Southern Baptist Convention you or your church may have personally experienced. Maybe a missionary from your church has gone out as part of the International Mission Board. Maybe a church plant or the church you're in currently has been planted through the North American Mission Board and works with cooperation with state conventions and local associations. Think about how the convention has served and worked in your area, your church, or your state. And then ask yourself, how does this all come together? How in the world do we fund associations, and how do we fund the state conventions and the national convention, these mission boards and these seminaries? In Southern Baptist life and work, the tool of choice for making all of this ministry happen is called the cooperative program. Genesis chapter 11 verses 1 through 9 recounts the event of the Tower of Babel. Men had determined to work together to build a great monument to themselves. The Lord states plainly that this kind of cooperation is virtually unstoppable. That principle, that working together we can accomplish much, is the heart and soul of the cooperative program. If these men could build a monument to themselves that would be unstoppable through cooperation, then how much more can the Church of Jesus Christ do by working together? Each church gives from their collection for the purpose of making disciples beyond themselves. Each church does not give the same amount, but rather each church is called to give an equal sacrifice for the expansion of ministry. Thus, each church determines what the Lord desires them to give and provides that for the cooperative program. As Southern Baptists, we understand that working together for the kingdom enables us to accomplish far more than we could ever do on our own. Being a Southern Baptist is not a denominational title, nor is it a call to a theological creed. Being a Southern Baptist means that we are united together for the purpose of missions and education in order to make disciples of Jesus Christ around the world. I hope that this phase has helped develop some understanding of just how Southern Baptist life and work operates. I pray that you have found this study to be helpful and beneficial to your work. And I pray that the Lord will continue to bless you in your efforts in all that you do for Him. God bless you. Have a great day.